Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pay-Per-View Episode 4, Backlash.
Holy
I
shit,
am
it's
your...
episode 4.
Yeah, it is Episode 4. We cheated because we've only covered 3 shows. Two shows that became 3 episodes. I'm Callum, and I'm joined, as always, by Steve.
Hi, I'm
Um,
Steve, and I'm joined by Kallum. Oh shit, is my
yeah,
thing not up?
yeah, your
Oh,
face isn't there. You forgot to appear.
oh, sorry, I was under the desk. I was hiding because I wanted to make a grand appearance, and I forgot that. Let me just put my face on. Oh no, that's the wrong face. There's the face. Hi, hello. Don't worry
Thank
about it.
God that wasn't a bit where you were going, I'm now doing this podcast as a butt for the rest of my life. I'm like,
Oh, yeah. I mean,
oh
no, we
no.
save that for the Halloween episode. It's fine.
Well, yeah. Oh God, we are gonna have to do this. Are we gonna have to cover Halloween Havoc as like a pay-per-view throwback? Is is a pay-per-view throwback a paper airplane?
Okay. It took me a minute. It took me.
It's an awful pun, and it doesn't really pay into wrestling in the way that pay-per-view does. There's a version of a joke somewhere that might work. Um. Anyway, we're here to talk about Backlash, the pay-per-view after Mania. Um,
Which was
but before,
surprisingly one of the backlashes that they've done. Yes.
yes, surprisingly, it was a Backlash. We've never had them before. No, we have them all the time. Um, before we get into the actual episode, we should cover that. Okay, before this event, WWE did some mass releases. About 17 talent and crew were released from WWE. Some people didn't have their contracts renewed, like Shotzi Blackheart, who just didn't have their contract renewed and was told that they won't be continuing, where others were released from their contracts early. Big names like Braun Strowman, Shayna Baszler, and there was a lot of NXT names. I'm not going to go through the full details. It's always shit. It's WWE. This is how they operate. After Mania, they do some spring cleaning and remove a bunch of people because they cost money, even though the company is making more money than it ever has, and it's increasing its ticket prices astronomically. So, anyway, um, we should also mention that the ECW legend Sabu has unfortunately passed away, and there's been lots of wrestlers talking about his love of the industry. Um, I don't know how much you've ever experienced Sabu, Steve, but I think the only time I've seen them was when they showed up in AEW that one time that was really annoying. But I do respect the career of a death match legend and part of the kind of revolution of building up ECW to be what it was. Um, but yeah, so that's like the big news out of the way. I thought it was worth mentioning, and we send our thoughts and condolences to the family of Sabu. Um, yeah, that
Yeah.
out of the way. Those are the big stories, and I thought that not mentioning them would just be silly. But we're not here to talk about the news because we're not a news channel. We're barely a wrestling channel. We're a TTRPG channel that's being held hostage by me.
It's great. I no see being held hostage would imply that I plan to pay for this and I don't. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Uh, it's it's like reverse Stockholm syndrome. I kidnapped Steve, but I'm agreeing to keep doing it despite never getting paid. I don't know.
that's great.
So we're going to talk about Backlash from St. Louis. In I was going to say Louisiana, but it's not, is it? That's me making things up. Where the
I think
bloody
it's
hell is St. Louis?
Missouri.
Missouri. There we go.
Yeah, I think
It's
so. Yeah,
Missouri. I I don't know American geography. That's fine.
same.
Um, I'm not going to bother talking about the arena. That stuff's boring. Let's talk about the pay per view. Let's go into the first match. we had the US Championship match
The
between
four-way. Yep.
champion Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, and Damian Priest. Uh, yeah, it was a pretty standard four-way until the middle, where they kind of split the match. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre go fight in the crowd, while LA Knight and Jacob Fatu just freeze and don't try and win the match.
Yeah, that was weird. Like I always like when they do that, like the split up thing, but I don't understand why they didn't just do like a picture in picture of them still fighting, because they didn't show us anything what they were up to. And like for like 5 minutes you were just looking at, or like not for 3 minutes you're looking at Priest and uh, Drew, and we come back to the two of them and they pick up right where they left off. It's like they stopped fighting,
Yeah,
which was weird. Like I get that they want to spotlight this, but like, so were the audience at home, just audience in the crowd, just watching the two of them frozen in the ring, not doing anything? Were they in a headlock? What was happening? What was the situation there? Like,
it was probably a vest hold of some sort, or I
yeah,
think they did a big move on the outside just before they switched over, so they could have just been on the floor for a bit.
fair.
I will say a lot of this was really quite fun. I tried my goddamn best to go through the WWE photos to try and get all four of them at the ring at the same time. I just couldn't get a picture of that. But there was a lot of big moves, like a lot of three-way combinations rather than like four-way like combos.
Yeah,
Jacob Fatu is great. He's got electricity in the way that he wrestles, and like his personality really shines through. LA Knight, I don't know if it's because he's in the ring with Jacob Fatu, but I've always like, oh, he's fine. He does the job? He's good on the mic, and the fans like him. But in the Jacob Fatu food, he's been really, really good in the ring.
yeah, yeah. I feel like it's lit a fire under him. I don't know if it's like a character thing or like a person behind the character thing, but I think knowing that he would lose the title at WrestleMania lit a fire under him somehow, doing like, hey, we're gonna show the world what I can do. Because like I feel like LA Knight was given the title a year too late. That's my opinion. He should have had the US title in 2023, should have held it throughout the year, and 2024 should have been his year of going after the world championship, one of the two.
There's a
And
real big
yeah,
question as to where he goes next, because Fatu's going to move on.
yeah.
Drew and Priest, if Drew isn't dead, are going to have more feuding.
I kind of feel like they might do Drew, or they might do LA Knight versus Damian Priest, and I think Drew is going to move on to feud with Cody.
Well,
I don't know why.
we'll
It's
see if that happens, because Drew might be a little bit poorly. Because after the split where Drew and Priest go into the like crowd to fight, there's a spot where
the box-like structure, and he jumped. They pushed him off
yeah,
it.
they
Choke
they,
slam,
they
something
went
they did. Yeah.
they did the South of Heaven off the box onto two tables, and Drew probably hit his head on the floor.
Oh shit.
And the tables didn't stop him. I watched it a couple of times because I was concerned about my boy Drew McIntyre. I think he got his hands up before he hit his head, but it still looked bloody brutal. And the reports were afterwards that he was being checked for concussions.
Yeah, no, that's fair. If he's hurt, then I hope he's not hurt. Firstly, because like nobody wants that. They're like people behind the wrestlers, right? That's like the most important thing. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that happens with spots like that, and it can
Yeah.
happen at any moment in wrestling, and it's always a bad thing when it happens. So we hope Drew's okay, mostly because I mean, Drew will be fine if he's injured. He'll just go on a social media game for a year.
Yeah. I think it happened. I think they've been a lot of injury stuff lately, especially with like the Survivor Series match. With like it took out Bronson Reed, it took out one of the Tongans, it took out Jimmy Uso. It was, I don't know. I feel like, and Jimmy Uso was back like weeks later, but he hasn't wrestled since that one match with Gunther. Even that wasn't a proper wrestling match. He was just annihilated. He hasn't wrestled since Survivor Series, I think. Right?
But Steve, what would you do with Jimmy Uso?
Fair.
The match kind of Priest and McIntyre eliminate each other from the match. Basically, they've taken themselves out, both in storyline and possibly in real life. And we're left with LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. Have some back and forth until Solo shows up with a new friend.
Oh, look, Bloodline 3.0 is coming. That's great.
Yeah. So, have you ever heard of Jeff Cobb?
Nope.
Okay. So what was this like for you as someone who doesn't know who Jeff Cobb is?
For me, it was, oh, hey, look, another Uso. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, oh, look, they're bringing in more Bloodline members, which is fine. That's fine, whatever. Because like I've
got one
yeah.
signed. Is it?
Yeah, there's someone on NXT, right? There's someone who's the TNA champion or something, or like he's on TNA something. I don't know.
There's a guy called Hikuleo who they signed months ago who hasn't even appeared on NXT yet.
Oh no, there's someone else, right? There's one of the, I don't know what his name is. I read something about him who's currently a champion or in a championship thing, somewhere on NXT or TNA, but I'm not sure.
I'm running through the champions of both shows, and I do not think any of them are Samoan, but maybe they want Evolve. I don't watch Evolve. They do have a bunch of the family signed, and also Ava. But maybe you're right.
He was the NXT GM, right?
Yes, and
Yeah.
the Rock's
daughter. Yeah.
Yes. There's like 3 different GMs on NXT. We're not here to talk about NXT, but I watched NXT, and there were 4 people in that GM's office who were called GMs. I'm like, what's going on in NXT? It's my question every time I watch a little bit of NXT. I go, oh, this is good. And then I go, what the fuck's going on here? Anyway, so this is Jeff Cobb. Now, Jeff Cobb has been in New Japan. He was a tag team champion until suddenly WWE signed him and forced him to relinquish the belt 2 months ago.
Huh.
For no reason. They didn't need him till now, apparently. I mean, obviously plans change, and maybe the plan was to bring him in at Mania, but he was in New Japan working without a contract because New Japan have this really fun idea that they're going to make all their contracts expire in January just before the Royal Rumble, and all it has ever done is punish them. Like they keep on losing talent to WWE and AEW like in January, and it buggers them up every time. They refuse to change their ways, and it'll probably be something about the culture of Japan and the rules on contracts or something. But like, they keep on doing this thing of like big talent gets over in New Japan. They don't sign a contract in January. Either they immediately get signed by WWE or AEW, or they wait a bit, hope to get signed, and if they don't, they'll sign a New Japan contract. But because they're working New Japan dates without a contract at any moment, either company can just go, that talent's mine now. So Jeff Cobb was working without a contract. WWE went, we'll have you, but you have to leave immediately. And then had to relinquish the tag titles, which you could argue is a scummy move that WWE keep pulling with other companies.
Yeah. Wait, who was he teaming with?
That's a great question. No idea who he was tag team swimming with. He used to be part of the United Empire faction, which was Will Ospreay's New Japan faction. That hasn't been a thing for a while. I'll Google it. Let's find out. Who did he win it with? Oh, Kallum Newton. Is it Callum Newman? Is that right? Yeah, Callum Newman. Oh, that's interesting. Ah, okay. Yeah, British, little wrestling boy. Um, yeah. Anyway, so Jeff Cobb, who I assume will now just be called Jeff or Cobb in WWE.
Well, they haven't been doing that for a while, so I hope they don't do that. It's
Yeah.
it's nice when they have longer names. Yeah.
Commentary referred to him as the man formerly known as Jeff Cobb, and then WWE's like social media has been like, "Here's Jeff Cobb." So we'll see if it sticks. Didn't show up on Raw, so we'll probably find out on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jeff Cobb gives a lariat to LA Knight, and then we have Jacob Fatu just staring upset at Solo and Jeff. And I was like, maybe you should just have a conversation, ask what's he doing here,
Yeah.
rather than just staring at each other upset. You could just ask the question. And it just kept going. You know, they won it like Jacob won the match, and then the rest of the segment was them just staring at each other. So Jacob Fatu and Jeff Cobb do have history on the Indies of a feud, which is wild that if that's what they're pulling on, because like most of the audience, Steve doesn't know what that is. So
I think from what I understood was he's just pissed off that he didn't know this was happening.
yeah, and it's also like Solo's brought in another big wrestler who's quite athletic. Oh no, I'm being replaced.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think they're realizing they have a big Jacob Fatu problem where he's supposed to be the monster heel, but like nobody wants to boo him.
Yeah,
and
they're turning him face for sure.
Yeah, so they need to figure out a way to do that without compromising Solo being the heel, because I think Solo is supposed to be the biggest heel on SmackDown, but I don't think he's doing enough to be the biggest heel. They don't have any other big heels on the show, so unless they turn Cody when he comes back, which I don't think they're going to do.
I think they're turning Solo into a manager.
Oh no!
Because I just think that apart from Tangaloa, everyone in the Bloodline has outperformed him. And it's their own fault because they didn't capitalize off the John Cena win.
Yeah, I agree.
The Bloodline storyline is not as good as it was in its first year, and it has, like all factions, they basically waited. Sorry, what has happened with the Bloodline is what was happening with Judgment Day from day one. It's just that it took them a year to reach Judgment Day levels of bad.
Yeah. I do feel like that there's a lot of similarities in the way that they're doing things on the shows. Like not just both the shows, but like, Dominic Mysterio winning the match by pinning someone who had just finished up a great move, which is like the same way that Io Sky won the championship after pinning Bianca because she pinned Rhea, whatever, after the big move. Then the story that they're going for with the Judgment Day, Finn Balor being upset.
That was important to the story.
Okay. Yeah. The thing that they're doing with the Judgment Day with Finn Balor being upset that JD and McDonough came back without him finding out. Same thing with Jacob Fatu. Solos bringing someone new without him. I think feel like they do this a lot where they repeat stories, and that's fine. But when it's so obvious and in your face that that even I can tell when I'm not looking at it behind the scenes stuff, I feel like they have to do something different to spark change with it. But coming back to the match, the spot where Damian Priest gave LA Knight a chokeslam, got claymored in the head by Drew and fell on him to pin was my favorite part of the match after the South of Heaven chokeslam to Drew, right? Of course, because that. Yeah, but I think that was really fun. That was really fun. It was a really cool way to like show the what's the word, how a fatal four way works. That was fantastic. I was like, I was leaning back in my chair, and I like, I felt myself lean forward and like lock in. When that happened, I was like, holy shit, okay. So like, I thought that was really cool, and they should do more stuff like that. And if Priest had won that way, I would not have been upset, because that is what a triple threat and a fatal four way is supposed to be. Yeah.
I really liked the first half of the match. I think the first half of the match where they were all having a go. They're good wrestlers. They're entertaining, and like again, I for WWE that's a pretty fun fatal four way match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. And it did further storylines. We've got more Drew and Priest stuff, and we've got new solo Sakura drama. But just write down in your notebooks interference. It might come up a bit in this match, in this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
The next match was Kallum's match of the night. This was fucking great. This is Lyra Valkyria, the Intercontinental Women's Champion, versus Becky Lynch. God, this match was good.
Holy shit, dude. I was not expecting it.
It's so good.
This is what they should have been doing with Lyra Valkyria from day one, ever since she won the championship. Her matches with Dakota Kai were great, which love her. Hope she gets a good spot wherever she goes. And I feel like they should have been pushing her like this, like putting her into a tag title match with Bayley at WrestleMania made no fucking sense when she was already a champion. Anyway, that's a month ago.
The
So we
story to get here is rough, but Becky and Lyra have both done good promos since Mania to sell this match. Becky, I do think, is finally working as a heel. Now, I think some of that is because the crowds are actively disliking her because of the booking rather than her performance. But I think they're channeling it in the right way. Like, again, started watching wrestling in 2015, which means that, like, I was watching just after the Women's Revolution and just before the verge of the rise of Becky Lynch. So I watched the Becky Lynch rise, the man Becky Lynch, and it's the greatest women's storytelling that WWE's ever done. They did it by accident.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
So I'm a big Becky Lynch head. I'm a big Becky Lynch fan. I think she's brilliant. So I struggle to see the argument that she's being Becky Hogan. I think that's insane.
I completely agree.
That if you listen to any of the backstage stories about Becky, she's not that at all. But people are going to say what they're going to say. That's the way the internet works. But they're channeling it in the right way. And I think that Becky has come into this feud and gone, I want to push Lyra. So the steps to get to here were bad, but they've righted the course on this. Lyra Valkyria, yeah, I agree. Those Dakota Kai matches were 5 minutes long, and each time you could tell they went out there and went, we're going to put on the best 5 minutes we can, even if the crowd don't care. But me, Kallum, watching at home was going, this is so good. Give me 10 minutes of this, please. I'm begging you. Please give me more. And they refused to do it. So I think it's kind of nice that this match got time. It was a gorgeous match. These two just wrestled. Lyra's technical ability out-technicaled Becky, and it kept on getting Becky angry, and Angry's brutality just wasn't working.
Yeah. I think just the way that like everyone went in expecting Becky to win, and to see the frustration on her face, it was like she expected to go in and win as well. And to see her put up a fight, and this also puts her at like 2-0 loss to Lyra Valkyria, one with the NXT Championship and one with this one, and that's a big fucking deal. You don't go 2-0 against Becky Lynch. That's wild. This could be the beginning of like a fucking, I don't know, I can't think of names, but like a big fucking rivalry that 5 years down the line is redeemed, where Becky finally gets one up over Lyra, and that's her first win. Something like, I don't know, something like that.
I suspect we're getting a no DQ match next pay-per-view that isn't Saturday Night Main Event.
So that's Money in the Bank.
Yeah. I think we're going to get a no DQ items galore match, and Becky will win there. And we'll get Lyra chasing Becky. It's what I assume is going to happen.
Yep, I think that's a very good idea. I think to have her as the underdog, because that's been Becky's role this entire fucking time. To have Lyra be the underdog instead, have Becky be the monster heel, which I think they tried to do with Bianca, but it didn't work. But this time, I think because, like you said, because of the outside stuff, which is like, they're upset about the booking, which is not her fault, or is, I don't know, and they're using that to boo her, even though they should be booing her for the character, which is like a whole other like mess of situations. But they're still booing her, and she's doing a fantastic job as a monster heel. I still don't like you. I loved the women's revolution. I loved Becky's triple threat, the whole man thing, and the man thing. Sorry, and I feel like it was hard for me to see her as a heel for a while with the Bianca thing, right? That's the first time she turned heel. And I was like, it's not going to work. It's not working for me. It didn't work. The entire run didn't work for me. But now, like when she came back with the way she snapped the promo she's been cutting on Raw, even the one after Backlash was really fucking good, about how, I didn't lose. She's the one who was carted away or whatever the fuck. I think there is something there, and I can't wait to see what they do with it.
Yeah, it's exciting. The back and forth of this match was great. There was a really awesome sequence of Becky trying to get in the Sama, and Lyra keep on finding her way out. But there was a moment where Becky goes and gets a chair, but it stopped from happening. They made Jessica Carr look like the greatest referee in WWE history in this match. She was on it every time there was interference. I was like a little bit of cheating from Becky. Jessica was just on it, like nope. And I'm like, you can't do this because no other WWE ref is this good. There was one bit where where Becky undid the turnbuckle, which was a little bit awkward, but I would say that they sold it pretty well, where she didn't know if to put the buckle back or to. It was interesting. I think they did a lot with the ref in this match, which is unusual, but it was effective. The whole match was effective. I wish I could give it a move of like the night, but like it was more a sequence, the final sequence of like the reversals, the quick roll up, the manhandle slams and the reverse. I just loved this match. I could watch this match forever. They let them wrestle, and they did a wrestle. This is the best match of the show, and the best WWE match that we've covered. It probably isn't, but I adored this as much as like I probably think the Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton match was better because of the storyline going in. But like this was great, and it made Lyra look great. It gave both of them a direction going forward. Fantastic. This just book everything else like this, please. Like the match like this, like the way you book the match, book everything like this, and I'll be happy.
I couldn't have said it better. I think it just got me very excited for women's wrestling in a very long time, because they haven't done a good job with pushing their women at all. So
well, don't worry. Evolution's on its way, and it's not weirdly on the same weekend as an AEW pay-per-view. What the fuck are you talking about?
How would they do that? How they did do that?
Then we come on to the other Intercontinental title match on this show: Dom Mysterio versus Penta. This is the point in the show where the entire show fell apart for me. This was really good for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it just died.
I feel like they are doing a great job with Dominic Mysterio. I think he's really good. I think they need to let him shine without interference. That is the problem. That is what is becoming the problem. I feel if whichever side they pick for him, heel, face, tweener, whatever the fuck other names they have for it, right? Pick it and stick with it. He's getting booed. He's getting cheered at WrestleMania. The next week he comes out and he cheats to win. He gets booed. The week after that he gets cheered. The audience can't make up their mind because the booking cannot make up their mind. And I think that is something that they need to figure out, the whole breakup angle with Finn, however it plays out, whether Finn betrays him or he betrays Finn. Just pick a lane and stick with it. I think that needs to be solidified. It should have happened months ago, but here we are.
Hey Steve, don't worry. We'll find out next WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, the big blow off match, Finn versus Dom with JD suspended above the cage.
Finn will turn next WrestleMania.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no, what do you think? The story is going to happen in the next 6 months? Are you insane? That's not long-term storytelling. It'll take at least a year to get somewhere.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I did like the whole Finn thing, where he was like, "Hey, no, wait, I'm going to go get the chair," and in that the ref saw him. They're planting the seeds, but they've been planting fucking seeds for 6 months. Just let a tree grow.
For 2 years.
Okay, yeah. But I still believe Dominic Mysterio would not be here if the Judgment Day had broken up 2 years ago.
No, I agree. It has done great things for Dom and Dom alone.
Yeah.
I think it has damaged everyone else. I think it did irreparable damage to the Women's Championship. I think it did irreparable damage to Damian Priest, especially the breakup angle, because it didn't do anything for him. I think it's broken Liv Morgan as a potential star. The only person that Judgment Day has benefited is Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough for still having a job. This match was fine. I think so. You said last episode that you don't get Penta, and I've watched a lot of WWE Penta, and I can see why you don't get Penta, because he's not the Penta that I've seen him be elsewhere. Because in WWE, the style is different. It's slower. It's less flashy. Obviously, he's much older than he used to be. He's probably in one of his last few contracts. And in AEW, a lot of his time he was in a tag team with Phoenix. So the combination offense allows them to come in, do flashy stuff, and then spend a long time out the ring waiting to recover their stamina until they go in again. But he was good here. I was really enjoying the action between the two of them. Dom does wrestle his best against other luchadors, obviously. That makes sense. And yeah, I think to go on to like the heel face thing about Dom, obviously they're pulling on the Eddie Guerrero string.
Yeah.
Going like, Eddie cheated and was cheeky to win. But I think the Judgment Day just blurs it all. It just makes it it just makes it not work. And they do need to do something about this storyline. We'll see if they actually do. This was a real shame that this match just got cut off by interference, and it didn't feel particularly long. I don't know how long this match was, but it felt very short because the interference just appeared and ruined everything.
Yeah, but I also feel like they backed themselves into a corner again, because Penta should not be losing. He's just made it to the company, and especially, I don't know. I just was this the match where El Grande interfered, or was that on Raw?
Oh yeah, El Grande showed up as well. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that whole fucking thing.
They got kicked out by the ref, and then El Grande Americano came from under the ring, hit Penta in the head, and then did the paint me like one of your French girls pose.
Yeah. I've been giving it a lot of thought since we talked about it last time after WrestleMania, about how the whole AAA thing and everything. I feel like that is what this is leading to. like a big marquee match, Chad Gable and Americano versus Penta and Dre Phoenix at the AAA pay-per-view thing.
How?
I don't know. That's what it's going to be. That is what
How can you have Chad Gable and El Marcano on the same tag team?
that is what I'm saying. That is going to be the match, and that is where it's revealed that Chad Gable is Americano, and they beat him up.
Yeah.
That is my fantasy booking for it, right? Like Chad gets backed into a corner where he's like, "You're teaming with Americano for this match." That is what I hope happens with this storyline.
Yeah, there definitely is this ongoing because Penta beat Chad on Raw the next night.
Yeah,
So it's definitely the thing is they've signed a bunch of luchadors and have not done anything with them apart from had them feud with each other. Like they could make Dom's Intercontinental belt the luchador belt, right? Like you could
yeah,
basically take the entire luchador division and have them because I don't think it's bad to lose, especially in WWE where losses really do not matter. If the match is good, then when someone loses, you go, well, it was a good match and everyone looked strong. And especially with Dom, who cheats to win, that's how he keeps winning. If they have a good match and then Dom cheats to win, you're like, well, Dom's a cowardly heel and Penta is amazing, but he lost because of cheating. When you fill it with all of this guff, it doesn't really do that. And when this match is so short, it doesn't really work.
yeah.
I think we're going to Lucha Bros. Well, there's apparently a draft upcoming. We're probably getting Lucha Bros on the same brand um, to enter one of the two tag team divisions, which apparently I'm being told exist. I've never heard of them though, so I wouldn't know
What do you
anything about them.
mean? The SmackDown Tag Team TLC match was so fucking good.
Sorry, I didn't see it. I don't watch television.
Oh my god, fair enough. You
I
know
didn't.
what?
I genuinely didn't see it because it wasn't a Mania.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. No, I I get it. I was also upset about it at WrestleMania, but after I saw that match, they wouldn't have let them do half that shit on WrestleMania. That is the problem.
I might go and watch it.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
was an excellent match. Like it was a good 25 minutes, I think. All three of them
I
looked so good.
I totally believe it was good.
Yeah.
It's more that like I don't have the time, and also are WWE presenting their tag team divisions like they matter? And I'd
Fair.
argue
Yeah.
that really, even if they're putting on good matches like they always do, the company doesn't care about them. It seems like you can either have women or tag teams. Choose one.
Fair.
Yeah. Anyway, let's probably move on. We've probably talked about this match longer than it went. Oh god. Next we had Gunther versus Pat McAfee.
Okay. I know you have had issues with Pat being in this position with Gunther, but it was a good match. From the Think of it as a regular everyday man who's wrestled 8 matches in his entire fucking career to last 15 minutes against Gunther.
Uh-huh. And that seems like a good thing to you.
The performance that Pat put up was really good. That's what I'm looking at it.
In a bubble, this match was okay.
Yeah.
Pat. Okay. It was okay as a match. However, what did the match do? The match put over Pat McAfee. The construction of the match was to put over the grit and ability of Pat McAfee not to build Gunther, who is working week to week in your ring. Gunther.
No, that's fair. See, the thing is, everybody knows how good Gunther is. They know how well he works. The fact that Pat lasted 15 minutes against him was a big deal to how they are presenting him moving forward. I don't know what plans they have with him. I personally thought that this match would write him off for college football and he wouldn't show up for a while. But he was on the next week, which I think was bullshit, right? Looking at it in the larger scheme of it, outside of the match, the fact that he was back the next week, the fact that Gunther showed up and he challenged Jay immediately, nothing is happening with the fallout for it, is bullshit. But looking at the match itself, I felt like it showed that Gunther is a fucking beast and Pat still survived him. And I think that is what it is. Pat didn't win, but he survived. And that is what the focus has to be. The fact that Michael Cole cheated to try to help him win.
And that hasn't come up. The only people who've mentioned that are the New Day.
Yeah.
Which means it won't matter. And it just feels like this entire storyline doesn't matter. And like no one told Gunther when he made that promo about killing Pat that this storyline would end with a 15-minute match where Pat was fine. Like
Yeah.
you said, nothing but the grace of God will get my arm from around your neck. And then as soon as the match ends, you just let go. I think this was fine. However, I dislike every decision that's been made here, and I don't get the point. You can't be building Pat McAfee for a big match unless what Kenny Omega said was true. So Kenny Omega just did an interview where he
Yeah.
said that WWE is a couple of years away from Logan Paul versus Mr. Beast in the main event of WrestleMania.
Yep.
Now, I'd argue that's kind of what WrestleMania has always been. Like the first ever match is got Mr. T in it as its main event. So that's just WrestleMania. But I what does this serve? Like, I would argue, as much as I didn't like the last match, storyline was served. So far on the show, every storyline has been furthered in some way. Everything has served storyline.
Yeah.
Here, what was this for? Who did this benefit? Is there a contract? Is there something in Pat's contract that every year he has to get a real good match in that makes him look good? Like, is that a thing? I don't know. I don't think this did anything for Gunther, and everything it did for Pat was a mistake. And I think Michael Cole cheating. And again, I'll say this because I've there's a weird like I think and obviously my political opinion on American politics is influencing this, and knowing how involved WWE is with that, the whole kind of we have a right to an opinion and shouldn't be bullied for our opinion just stinks of like some sort of right wing agenda being pushed on this storyline that maybe I'm reading too much into, but it was there. I was like,
Yeah.
what's the point of any of this? And like Gunther giving a little bow of respect to Pat McAfee. Bug off. This was bad. This was the worst thing on the show. However, the match itself was fine, which means there's like in the pantheon of terrible things in wrestling, it doesn't really get close. But it was very annoying to watch.
Fair.
In my
I feel
opinion.
like I see what you're saying about the whole right wing thing. I personally feel if that was the agenda, they would have pushed it a lot more. Like they did mention it, like Michael Cole mentioned it a couple of times, but I think if that was the point, they would have said that multiple times. Like you know how oh, did you know the show is sponsored by Snickers? But anyway, did you know the show is sponsored by Snickers? Yeah, yeah. But yeah, the show is sponsored by Snickers, by the way. Yeah. So
This
I think
match was sponsored as well.
was it?
Yeah, this was sponsored by someone. could have sworn this was the sponsored pay-per-view. The sponsored match on the pay-per-view. Maybe I'm making that up. I'm probably making that up. Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Maybe I'm just trying to find reasons to dislike WWE, which I do
that's
on
fair.
a daily basis.
Yeah. No, but I think
also they give me them on a daily basis too.
exactly, especially with all the shit that they've been pulling the last few months. I see my thing for it has always been I kind of like Pat as the vibes that he brings to commentary, right? For me, it's like if I was on commentary, this is how I would react to things. And I think that's what Pat's role is. That's what it's always been. So for him to show up, wrestle Austin Theory, get a fucking stunner from Stone Cold feels like this is me. It's representing who I like. I think that's what they're doing. It's like the everyman getting representation, feeling like it's someone who I could be looking up at. I think that's what they're going for with him, right? And
Steve,
it is working.
Steve, if I gave you this, right?
Yeah.
If WWE like, Steve, we're going to put you in the ring with Gunther for 15 minutes and you're going to
Yeah.
survive Gunther.
Yeah.
Do you really think that's a good idea?
I would take it as they believe in me and they feel like from a storyline perspective, I would say no, this is bullshit. But for me as a character, if I was a character in WWE, I would be like, this is huge for me, right? And it is huge for Pat. Sure, it doesn't uplift Gunther as much, but it is huge for Pat.
I think your point is very funny because I did have a note about this match, which was I could have done that match. Like, obviously I'd have to train, but obviously Pat has been given time to train. But like,
Yeah,
you're right, Steve. Every man could have done this match.
yeah,
And I think that is my problem. Is it just comes down to who is the talent in
yeah.
that ring,
Fair. Yeah.
Gunther or Pat? And if the answer is Pat, that's the wrong answer.
No, that from that perspective, I completely agree. But I also think that this could be like a shift for Michael Cole. He's been an unbiased reporter for 15 years. I don't know. You said you started watching in 2016, right? So Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler had a rematch at WrestleMania, like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Michael Cole is undefeated at WrestleMania, okay? And he was a monster heel at the time. He was like on commentary, he was dick riding the Miz the entire time. It was like heel Michael Cole vibes, right? And I know it's not a big deal because he's not a superstar, he's not the talent, but heel Michael Cole in 2025.
One of the worst matches in WrestleMania history.
I agree.
Why are we
I agree. No, I'm just saying heel Michael Cole in 2025 is like heel John Cena in 2025. Okay. It's a big fucking deal to me personally. And I think that is really cool. And if we get more of Michael Cole interfering in matches and calling shots and calling people shitheads and doing that as a result of this match, I think it was totally worth it. That's my hot take.
So earlier, I got a clip sent to me over Instagram of another podcast where someone gave a really stupid opinion, and they were like, "We can edit this out if you want." And I'm going to give you the same offer, Steve. Are you really fucking sure that you want a heel Michael Cole in 2025? Are you out of your mind?
Give it 6 months, and then when it actually happens, I'll be like, I called it here.
And I'll call you the Herald of the fucking Apocalypse. The first hour, I said the first match of Raw, where it was just Michael Cole. Do you know what I thought about commentary? I was like, oh, this is surprisingly good commentary. What's going on? And I didn't realize that Pat wasn't there. It was nice. Michael Cole's a one-man booth was fine. Anyway, talking of bad ideas in 2025, let's talk about the main event. Now, okay, well, let's talk about the main event. John Cena versus Randy Orton. Randall Keith. Randall Keith. For the WWE Undisputed Championship.
John Cena's best match this year.
You know,
John Cena's best match in the last 5 years, even.
It's done. That's insane. This is, rest holds are my favorite move in wrestling. And if rest holds not your favorite move in wrestling, you should watch the first 10 minutes of this match. You'll get rest holds up the wazoo. Last 5 years.
I think John Cena's best match this decade was the Firefly Funhouse match.
Yeah, that's within the last 5 years.
Yeah. He fought solo. That was an okay match. He had a tag team match with Kevin Owens against Roman and Sammy. He had a match against Roman at fucking SummerSlam, I believe, for the belt. He fought Austin Theory at WrestleMania, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know those matches off memory. I think this match was better than the Mania main event.
Oh, definitely.
But that's not saying much because the bar
was pretty low.
WWE anymore, but it's down here. Put out the first 10 minutes of this match. It's probably much better watching, but this match sucked and then was nonsense. So we get Randy Orton and John Cena doing their favorite move, the rest hold, and the shoulder check for about 10 minutes. And then they start hitting finishes on each other. And then interference. Or the ref gets knocked out. The ref gets put down. A new ref enters. They get put down. Then Randy goes for the pin, gets like a visual 9 count or something. Then like a bunch of people come in of management. And then once they've all been RKO'd, goes for the punt kick on John Cena, and R-Truth interferes.
Future WWE champion R-Truth, you mean?
And then the Cena beats Cena does the low blow. The ref gets back in the ring, the first ref, and Cena wins. Lol.
Yeah. But he won the same way he won at WrestleMania. Low blow, belt to the head, pin. He did not win with an AA. I think that was significant. I think there was something there.
The fan booking of this was Cena getting DQ'd
by slapping the referee. Yep.
By slapping the referee.
That should have been the finish.
I think this is a time where the fans booked a better idea. This match was, I don't know, 7 minutes long, where it's big move mania, and then Cena realizes he's out of options and gets himself DQ'd. It, to me, is a cleaner version of this match. As it was, it did the job. It pushed Cena's still a heel. He's going to cheat to win. Randy should have won. Randy might go off and be a little bit crazy again now that he's really upset about this, just RKOing everyone. It sets up the next match, which is Cena versus R-Truth, despite the fact that R-Truth helped you win, John. It doesn't make sense for you to turn on him. That doesn't make sense. If R-Truth is going to help you win and you don't want to lose, as a heel, you should just keep R-Truth in your grasp.
Yeah. I think it ties into the ending. Not the ending, but like the post-match angle, I guess. The post-show angle. I don't know if you've seen the clips, but...
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. So
The,
Cena
like,
wins. He cuts a promo talking about how I'm still the worst. You all hate me. Go fuck yourselves. And everyone's still chanting, "Thank you, Cena." Show goes off the air, and he's standing in the ring, and he looks sad. Now I don't know if this was like Cena as the wrestler or Cena as the person behind the scene, behind the John. I don't know, but he looked genuinely distraught. Like it was there was something there, and I feel like that was you know what I heard. I don't know if you've seen Peacemaker or not. This They dropped a trailer for Peacemaker season 2, right? In the trailer there's two different Peacemakers. One is the good guy Peacemaker, one is the bad guy Peacemaker. And I feel like this entire run is trying to promote that show. We're going to get multiverse John Cena, where it's the heel John Cena who's been terrorizing everybody.
Steve,
And
Steve, I don't understand how to explain this to you. You can't do that in actual wrestling. This is twice on this show that you have booked for two of the same person to appear at once. And I don't know how to tell you this, but you can't do that.
why not? It's going to be a cinematic match. John Cena's
Why are
final
we doing
match.
cinematic matches in
Why?
2025?
Why not? His final match at Ruthless Aggression, which is what I'm fantasy booking the name for the pay per view in December, is the last show of the year. It's a cinematic match. John Cena versus John Cena, right? It's heel John Cena who's been terrorizing everybody for the last year, and then the actual good guy John Cena shows up, who's been kidnapped and tortured for the last year. So he looks thinner. He's lost muscle. He's been locked in a cage.
Okay, so we're announcing a new pay-per-view show. It's called Pay-Per-View Dream View, where we hear Steve's horrible fantasy booking, and then I come in and present a logical version of that booking. God.
No, but I thought it was very funny, right? But that is not obviously what they're going to do. But if you want to piss someone off, that is the thing you present them. But I still think that there is something there with the whole John Cena's sad and upset that this is who he is presenting himself to be as he's going out. And I think they're trying to what's the word? Like the whole Rock thing with at Elimination Chamber, they're trying to put it like Cena had no choice. He felt like he had no choice because he hasn't won the championship in 10 years, and he thinks this is the way to get to 17. And once he gets to 17, he realizes this is not who he wants to be. I want him to lose to Punk at SummerSlam, at Money in the Bank, if they're doing Punk at Money in the Bank, because that would be poetic, right? If he loses to Punk, but I think Punk is too busy with the Seth Rollins thing, so I don't know.
I think Punk's too busy, and he won't be at. Well, we'll find out if Punk goes to Night of Champions. We won't be going to Night of Champions because fuck's howdy.
Yeah. Well, I think there is a story there for Cena regretting who he is. He loses the belt sometime in the next 3 months. I still want him to retire as a face. You cannot have John Cena retire as a heel after all this time. I think we talked about this last time as well. I don't think there is a world in which that happens. But also with how we talked about how long it takes for storylines in this new era, I don't know if they can pull it off in 6 months.
What I don't get is the crowd reaction, and it's just a Cena effect, right? Is that no matter what Cena does, he'll be booed and he's cheered in equal measure.
Yeah.
And obviously, his whole feud is haphazard at this point because the whole storyline is haphazard at once. Like I've now gone and listened to the Rock interview where he blames the CEO of TKO for everything, and it wasn't his fault. And it's interesting. I don't know how much of it is the Rock trying to ruin everyone else's day because he seems to have a genuine beef with Triple H. I think this will be a storyline that we go back to in 4 years' time. And we go, it was messy, but overall it was fine.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with it in terms of crowd reaction, in terms of the matches are, yes, they're better. Like they're they're fine, but they're also not fine. Um, are they better than John Cena versus The Miz? Yes, that's not a high bar.
Yeah.
Um, I think the bar has just been lowered to a point where, the crowds are loving it, and but again, I don't know if the crowd reaction is what they want it to be, and I don't know if this like potential face turn for Cena is because the crowds aren't reacting the way they want them to. Um,
Mm.
it's a confusing mess.
Yeah. I
But
agree with what
overall,
you're saying. Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
I kind of feel like there's the whole Cena has never been cheered or booed completely ever, right? He's always been polarizing, and that has been the the beauty of it this entire time. I feel like if they decided they wanted to do heel John Cena, they probably had that in mind, where this is how it's going to be, and he is going to get cheered and booed. There is no way he's getting completely booed out the building because nobody's going to do that to him. After 25 years, I hope they knew that, and I hope like if I had done this, I would have had a plan in place where okay, we're going to turn him heel, and but the last 4 months is going to be a redemption arc, and he retires as a face. That's how I would do it, right? Because I would not want to have John Cena retire as uh, a heel. His final match, the end of everything, unless whole thing has been a swerve and this is not his final match, and he shows up January 1st like I fucked you all, and I was lying, and I'm here to stay because I'm keeping this belt because it's mine.
The countdown timer, though, the
Yeah,
countdown timer is why I think you're wrong.
yeah,
It's that it's such an obvious, like, when it gets down to 10 days left,
yeah,
everyone is desperate for him to lose it. Like, there's something so juicy in holding it as a heel until the end of his dates and someone coming in and beating him
mm,
that it's so telegraphed. But we'll see. Um,
yeah,
Overall, Backlash was a mixed bag for me. I liked the first two matches a lot, and then I kind of fell off it, but it did push all storylines forward. So,
yeah.
it did the job. It was better than I thought it was going to be, but also worse than I thought it was going to be.
Hmm.
How do you feel about Backlash?
I think pretty much same. I of course enjoyed the matches more than you did. I think in terms of entertainment, they were great. In terms of wrestling, they were not. And I think you look at it from a wrestling point of view, I look at it from entertainment. Like I look at it at the end of it and I'm like, did I enjoy it? And I did, right? I enjoyed all the matches. I enjoyed the stories. And you put John Cena on a card, I am not gonna hate it. Like he's like I have like I'm a I'm a 28-year-old man, and I would still jump if he tells me to jump, right? So I I have very yeah, it's like when he announced his retirement, I cried. Okay, so like that's who I am, right? So uh, but I enjoyed the show. I thought it was better than WrestleMania. That's what I thought. The the in terms of wrestling, or like in terms of storyline progression, it was better than WrestleMania. But that I think that's the point, because WrestleMania is supposed to kind of be like the end of stories instead of like continuing stories from that. At least I don't know, man. That's how I see it. It's supposed to be like the season finale, um, not a series premiere, right? And Backlash is supposed to be the series premiere or season premiere, in my opinion. That's how I see it. For
It's really
yeah,
difficult to judge with these like 5 match pay-per-views that um Triple H loves booking, so he can book like 3 pay-per-views a month. Um, uh, to like compare it to Mania in my mind, I'm like Mania's just too big. It's too long. It's too big to compare
fair.
it to like a 5 match card because like there's only one SmackDown story on this pay-per-view. So it's really difficult to like go, well, like Raw, bunch of things happening. But then, like when you watch Raw, half the storylines of this pay-per-view weren't on it because they're too busy setting up for Saturday Night Main Event.
Yeah.
The oversaturation of pay-per-views or events, because obviously Saturday Night Main Event isn't a pay-per-view, it's like a TV special.
Yeah.
It's hitting WWE the same way it used to with the every month was a different pay-per-view and it was the same pay-per-views in the order, and like you had split pay-per-views over like
Yeah. I remember.
already
I
hit
think.
the problem before.
Yeah,
And
when they had like a separate Raw, separate SmackDown pay per view, that was really fucking weird. Yeah.
they are and they're counter programming everyone else, specifically AEW, but and it's not, it's not affecting their business. Fans are, and money seems to be higher than ever. People seem to just love WWE uncritically, but I don't get it. I've struggled with Triple H booking the entire time he's been in charge of the main roster, and it will be interesting to see where we are next pay-per-view, because the next pay-per-view is Money in the Bank in June.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we might cover Double or Nothing in 2 weeks' time. So that might be the next time you see us. Yeah. Again, well wishes to all those people who were released, and I want to see them land on their feet. There's some really great talent in there, and I think they'll all do well. And obviously, rest in peace to Boo. But yeah, that's been Backlash, and it definitely was the pay-per-view after Mania.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we'll see you again next time in the middle of the ring. Bye, Steve.
Bye.